So this was another week of suddenly realizing that another week had gone by and trying to avoid what I was wanting to actually should have been making a video about because I didn't want to. Anyway. So I decided to check online to see what people had been saying about avoidant personality disorder lately. And first of all, I think that maybe there will be like a book review next week because may have found something that I should like pop into a bookstore or library and maybe get a book or two to read. But also, if you want a good laugh, like the same level as the wonderful expert who claimed that all men with avoidant personality disorder are gay, and that all people with sex addiction had avoidant personality disorder. Like, what? Look up a list of current famous people diagnosed with avoidant personality disorder, and you'll be like, what? Who are they kidding? Also, direct proof that Google's really bad for looking up a list of supposed issues that you might have in your life and trying to self-diagnose because, yeah. Anyway, so I guess this is what I should talk about because every week I talk about whatever has come up. What's coming up for me, and I'm basically I'm kind of ashamed about it. What's coming up for me this week is working again. Now, partially this is how I was raised, which is the beggars can't be choosers type of that's how I was told that my entire life. I should accept anything that is offered. I should do everything that comes up because and be grateful about it because I should not expect any opportunities, and I should of any sort. That means like somebody wants to talk to me, doesn't even matter if they're like totally obnoxious, boring, abusive, whatever, I should take it. Any person that wants to have a relationship, any and all people, which side thing, I guess I'm going to do a lot of sides on this because I'm trying to avoid the actual topic. A convenience store that I go in, I'm strange. I drink water all day long, but I have to have it with ice. And I should like get my own ice machine, but I never do. Also, I consider it like the equivalent of a smoke break because I don't smoke cigarettes, and a lot of people still do in my area anyway. They do it on purpose just so. I've known people who've taken up smoking just so that they can go get a break at work. I go get ice, and the convenience store where I get ice, the guy that's there all the time, chatty. I'm polite, chatty. Like I said, I was told I was the social butterfly by my son. Dear God. Not true, but whatever. Last time I saw him as I'm leaving, and the thing is, it's kind of dangerous outside where I live. A lot of snow, very, very cold. He said, "Be careful out there. I love you." And I'm like, oh God, I don't think I can ever go back to this place again. And that was actually a couple days ago, and I still haven't. And I'm like, am I just going to learn how to drink lukewarm water? Because I get water and I don't just suck it right down. So doesn't stay cold. Oh my God, it's a crisis. How's this for hedging on actually talking about what I'm talking about, which is sort of the opposite side of the coin of what happens with a lot of people. A lot of people who have avoidant personality disorder are underemployed, but then I think it's really common that people just can't say no, and that includes work. And I think that it's really common based on the people I personally know who have avoidant personality disorder, that they accept working conditions where they might be underemployed. Like, technically, based on my education and degrees, I could definitely be doing different jobs than I do now. Not necessarily make any more money, but definitely have more responsibility, maybe more stability, definitely more like social clout. Who gives a crap? Definitely also wouldn't be able to go on vacations all the time, which this is the other thing. I just went on vacation. Y'all saw, if you saw the video. I just went on vacation. Come on, I shouldn't feel like this already. But everybody else that I work with, they're like lining up one after the other, and a lot of people are taking vacation. And so the workload is heavier. And again, the outside right now is pretty gnarly. It's been very, very cold. And we just had a walloping of a storm. A lot of snow, a lot of ice. Last month, it's still January, right? Last month in December, it wasn't December, my Lord, I'm losing track of time. I broke actually 3 bones in my foot trying to navigate on crutches and with a cast in snow and ice is a little difficult. But primarily, the thing is that right now, because people are all taking vacations one after the other, is that there's a lot more work to do. And I think that they would have me work the entire, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, this time of year especially, they would have me work every single day. A couple days ago, they wanted me to work in 2 separate departments. So it would be 2 different jobs. But they wanted, for real, they wanted me working from 10:30 in the morning until 2 o'clock in the morning the next morning without a break. I have a job that doesn't have like set, like I said, the reason I go out for ice is to get a break, because it's the type of job where, I mean, you do have downtime, but you can't plan on the downtime, because if there are no customers, no clients, no jobs, then that's when you have the downtime and you're just sitting there waiting, but you don't know when the next one's going to come. So you can't really like take a half hour or an hour unless you schedule it. So if I was scheduled from 10:30 until 2, they would have expected me to be available from 10:30 until 2 and maybe working that entire time. They also wanted me out because, among other things, where I live, I have not that reliable internet, which is fine where I live, not fine where I work. They, the people I work for, I need to have access to all that nifty stuff. I need to basically be available at all times. So I can't work from home. Um, so we had this gigantic storm, and they're like, yeah, we want you here. And I was scheduled. I went to work. I saw that they weren't plowing. This is super common where I live. One, because it's an expense on the town, but also they've discovered that if they don't plow, then people won't be out driving around in it. And they don't want people driving around in snowfall like I had this past weekend. So they just don't plow, which gets more and more dangerous. So I stopped working. I bailed. They were totally good with it, but I left work. This is astounding. You don't understand. I'm like I said, I sort of feel ashamed of myself. I sort of feel humiliated, but on the other hand, I'm like, pat myself on the back. I did something. I said no to somebody for my own safety. Amazing. And then again, I had this crazy schedule that they wanted me to cover for another person. I said no to that. I did my regular hours that I normally work on that day. I did not do the extended hours. So I did an 8-hour day, but I did not do what would that be? A 18-hour day? No, thank you. Something like that. Yeah, I can do math. Definitely with the getting back and forth to work, 18 hours for sure. No, thank you. On the last day I had off, of course, they didn't say we have a hole in the schedule. They were like, oh, we've got, some availability if you're bored. That's how they put it. If I'm bored, let me tell you, even if I was bored, I would have, at that point, I was very burnt. I'm very burnt out and tired from doing all this work. Because, of course, now I have super active vacation, as you saw. That wasn't even the most active thing. Most active thing was I swam down a river through a cave that it had formed through an old fossilized coral, basically, which had been worn away, and saw all kinds of cave critters and stuff like that. And again, hiked through a rainforest to get there. That's the type of thing I was doing on my vacation. I was not sitting around on my vacation. I did do some sitting around. I did read a couple books. Mostly in airports and on the plane while I was getting back and forth to where I went. But anyway, I mean, I'm on my own case. I'm saying, gosh, you can't keep up anymore. You're getting old or whatever. But also, this was one of my mother's big giant things, was that she truly did not feel that I was, I don't know, eligible. I had the right to ever be tired. Like, I was not to be tired. I was supposed to be ready to go 24 hours a day and to just go and never be tired and never rest. There's something wrong with my mother. What can I say? Everybody knows that. But it's very weird. I mean, I really, doing this pushback. So this is basically 3 times in this week where I have been asked to work. One, I was scheduled and I left. And because of the storm, I was like, okay, this is getting worse and worse and worse, and I'm not going to get stuck here overnight. If I got stuck there overnight, I would be working overnight. I almost guarantee you that they would have. I mean, first of all, there's no place for me to sleep or eat or anything like that. They would have just had me keep working in the building work. But also, and the other days, I mean, one of them, I saw the text as the one about if you're bored. Well, I was not ask to do anything, and it was not like a direct anything. So I just left it on red and I did not even respond. Um, I expected to be disciplined for this. I really did. Um, but I saw the person who had been basically harassing me to come and work even more. She was totally fine with me that I didn't, one, I didn't respond, and two, I didn't take the bait. Um, I'm supposed to have off tomorrow, which is today when this goes up. Um, I've already been asked to come in and work on my day off, and it doesn't look like it would be a full day, maybe 6 hours. And I was like, okay, I can do that. Because one, this is not going to last forever. I think it's, let's see, after this week, I think it's 2 more weeks back to back, people being on vacation. And guess what I did? The other thing is that the way I work, I don't have a regular 5-day a week schedule. So I sometimes work a lot and sometimes work a little. And I have random days off. Again, nothing's set. I mean, that works for me. It's fine. I don't know what day it is. I really seriously lose track of what day it is. Seems like all I'm doing is working lately. But I requested another day off. My son was like, okay, Mom, when are we going to go hang out the next time? And I'm like, okay, well, his schedule is set. And I'm like, okay, well, based on everything, I'm like, okay, how about this day? It's another couple weeks from now in February. And again, I think there will be another person who is still going to be on vacation that week. But again, other people's schedules also can be molded. I'm not the only one that has a schedule that's able to be shifted around. So I randomly said, hey, kid, how about this day? And he said, okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. And I blocked myself off from working on that day. Now, I mean, that probably means the other 6 days of that week I'll be working. And the other thing is, of course, that once this little episode is over, they're probably going to have me work like 4 days a week instead of 7 and or 6 or whatever, and even 5, and give my time away to all the newbies that are going to be coming in, because I'm sure they're going to have newbies come in too. And the people who've been on vacation, hey, we got to make sure that they're fit in and all this other stuff. I mean, so believe me, I'm taking the windfall of me working all this extra time and banking it. But I suspect second half of February, early March, things are going to really slow down for me as far as work goes. Plus, also, it'll be kind of nicer outside, and maybe I'll be able to, have a life. But that's all me. And it's really specific. Sorry about all that. So what happens? I mean, I know other people who have jobs where they're like, part of their job and being sort of flexible is they're on call sometimes, and then they're on call 24 hours a day. Yikes. I know other people who are tasked randomly with having to travel and suddenly deal with that. And I mean, the thing is, if you have avoidant personality disorder and you're trying to avoid people and you're trying to avoid repeat people, traveling, if you're not going to the same place where you're traveling all the time, but like some random other place, hey, that can work. But that is technically working around the clock when you do that. I mean, I was done that. I did it last summer. I went to a location that was, what was it? I think it was 6-hour drive from my house, maybe 5-hour drive from my house. And just worked for a little while, like a day or so, and I got put up overnight and back again, and the 2 days I was gone was considered my weekend, even though I was working, and they knew it because it's the same company. Yeah. So basically, to boil all this chattiness down, I think that's something to watch out for, is that once you've got this job that may or may not be exactly perfect for you, but you can work with as a person with avoidant personality disorder. I think that because the way that we were brought up, and the anxiety that we all have to deal with and cope with, I think there is a very high chance that we're going to be overworked. And I encourage you to stand up for yourself, to not completely burn out, to understand that you can say no. I mean, it's possible you get a job that really truly is open-ended. It is possible you get a job that's like 3 days on, 4 days off, and it's 24-hour day job. It's possible that you can have that. There are non-traditional jobs like that. It might really work for you because then you won't, you basically by yourself for 4 days. Hey, it might work for you, but those days when you're on, it's possible to get very overworked. It's possible for it to run you over. It's possible for you to just say yes, say yes, say yes, slowly but surely work more and more and more until you burn out or crash or like actually physically get really, really sick because you're stressed and you haven't, like, exhausted, and you haven't been able to recharge. That is very possible. And what seems like outrageous and like something you wouldn't even think of is to say no. There are people I know that just say no to everything first. Initially, no, 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 no. And then they come back and go, well, is this still available? Maybe nope. Well, we've already filled that, so no, you can't. There are the people that do that. I think that's more rare. I think it's more common for people with avoidant personality disorder to just say yes, yes, yes to everything. I could, again, I'm totally biased based on, one, myself, and two, other people that I've talked to that have had it and issues that they've had. I mean, I know people with avoidant personality disorder who are 2 full-time jobs, like the unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary to work that much and that hard. But it's so hard to say no, and also if you're needing to be around people but you can't be social, then working is one way to do that. But you can say no. They're not going to fire you for saying no to extra work. I mean, if you're never doing anything extra, it's a one-time deal. But if they're like pushing the envelope and putting feelers out, I mean, you can really depend. I mean, you might have a job where you can't say no. That's possible, but you will learn that immediately. But if you've got a job where they're just trying, I mean, especially now, it's very weird how everybody's looking for a job, and yet most places they don't have full staffing. Very strange. But you can say no. You can put limits. It's not going to destroy you, as scary as it seems. And once you get started, you basically can keep going with it. It's not going to destroy you. You're not going to lose your job. They might respect you more if you say, these are the limits I can do, and I'm taking care of myself to be a better employee for the hours I'm actually there. You'll get through it. And so I really do suggest that you give it a shot if you feel like, I mean, whatever it is, like technically this job, I'm only supposed to be part-time. That's like 15 hours a week. They like their auditing system bumped me to full-time because they're like, yeah, well, you're working like minimum 42 hours. So that is full-time. We can't call you part-time. You need to be considered full-time. You need full-time benefits. And sorry, unless you stop working, then you've got to be full-time. And lately I've been working 50 plus hours again. Now, when it gets to 60 plus hours for me for this particular job, that's when I kind of have issues. Like it really starts to affect me. So I'm kind of pushing the limit, and not taking very much time off. So I did what I need to do, which is schedule a day when I'm going to literally be out of state and have plans with somebody other than just myself, that I can't just cancel my own plans. It would be canceling somebody else's plans if I worked on that day. So that's what I've done. And you can do that too. And this might be like the most like boring, stupid video that you've ever seen because you're already doing this. But there will be some people out there who really need to hear that they can do this, that they don't, it might be insanely difficult to get a job. It might be like so horrible to go through the interview process that you don't ever want to do it again. You can still accept that there are limits to what you can do at your job, and that you were given expectations of what you were going to do at your job, like what your hours would be, expectations, etc. And if they're really pushing back and trying to make you do more and more and more work, then you can bring the contract up and say, I was told I was going to do this. Are you going to change? I did have a job do this on purpose. One time, they were adding some responsibilities to the job. The reason they did that was because they felt like I was not working hard enough, because I was working too efficiently. I actually had an assistant at the time, and I did all my work and all the assistant work, and they had to remove the assistant position because I was doing everything and still like basically twiddling my thumbs. And they really were annoyed by that. And so they added things to the job description that they knew for a fact would be a bad match for my personality. I didn't know they didn't know I had a personality disorder, but they knew I was introverted and was not really interested in like interviewing people as a part of a job. So they added that in on purpose to the job description. They pulled it out of the HR department, put it into my job, so that I wouldn't squirm when they offered me a whole bunch of severance and said that either you do this extra work, or we'll find somebody who will do it instead and we'll pay you severance. I took the severance, and they did add that to the job, and it was approximately 2 weeks that they split it into 2 jobs after I left, because the people that came in could not handle it. And they kind of knew that's what they were going to do, because they wanted 2 positions. So instead of having my position and an assistant who was basically doing filing, they had 2 people doing the job. And actually a lot of because I talked to people that were still in the company, a lot of the new job requirements that they had added, they pulled back, gave it back to HR, because they realized, okay, this is actually sensitive information. HR should be handling this. And they took the position and split it into 2. So I was definitely doing the work of 2 people. But I was not social enough for the company. I was not a good fit for their company environment. So they couldn't fire me for that. So instead, they changed the position, added more work that they knew I would find intolerable, and offered to buy me out with severance if I just left instead of trying to do the job. And it worked. I left. Anyway, the chances that that's going to happen to you, I mean, now that I've said that, you know somebody that that's happened to. It's not going to happen to you because you know somebody that that's happened to. Saying that you don't want to work 6-7 days a week when you were scheduled, when you were originally hired to work 5. One time they might have one major project they need some extra work on. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say no if you don't want to travel in weather that's going to be dangerous. It's okay that you can speak up and say that you can't 100% cover for another employee's absence, that they have to, you can do a little bit extra, but you can't do it all and they need to break it up. That's okay to do. They can't just dump double the work onto you. Well, they can try, but you can say no, and they'll go, okay, well, all right, and we tried, and they'll split it up more evenly. It's okay to do that. That is very difficult to do, to speak up for yourself when you have avoidant personality disorder. But unless you want to burn out and not work at all, or have to find another job and go through the interview process, speak up instead of being forced out. Believe me, in the long run, that's better. See you next week.